Welcome everyone to another episode of Defender for Cloud in the Field. Thanks for your support and for subscribing to the Microsoft Security channel. If you did not, make sure to follow the URL below and subscribe to the channel to receive notifications of new episodes. Today we will continue our journey through some of the bigger announcements at Ignite. And this one is really a game-changing from a lot of perspectives. To talk about these announcements that were done at Ignite around Defender for servers, I'm going to have my friend Aviv Mor back to the show because he's been here before. So glad to have you back, Aviv. Welcome back.
Thank you, Yuri. It's always good to be back.
Yeah, and always good to be back with great news. And a lot of customers, they were really looking forward to some of the news that you are bringing today. So I'm very excited about that. So talking about this new announcement that we had at Ignite, I just wanted you to start with a brief overview of some of the major things. Then we're going to dig into more details about each one of those capabilities.
Yeah, true. So Ignite this year has been very exciting for us, also across the whole product, but also for server security on the journey to help our customers secure their server workloads of any kind, anywhere. We've made some great improvements this year. And to cover the main and major features that we released this Ignite. So first is general availability of support for Microsoft Defender for Endpoint for Linux through Defender for Cloud. This has been a long anticipated one. So now it's generally available, meaning we natively protect Linux servers. It is supported in a very similar way to how Windows servers are supported. So they're automatically provisioned with the Defender for Endpoint, and you can see the alerts both in a Defender for Cloud portal, but you also have access to Defender for Endpoint portal for deeper and full investigations. So that's number one. We're very excited about it. The second thing we did also as part of the Better Together story with Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, we brought threat and vulnerability management into Defender for Cloud. It's actually two scenarios. Mm-hmm. The first scenario is we're allowing you to simply view the software installed on your workloads, both Windows and Linux now. So we've added a software inventory experience into Defender for Cloud, and we're going to see that in the demo. You can easily discover and filter and cross-correlate Defender for Cloud data with the software that's installed on your servers. That's number one. The second one is vulnerability assessment. So while these software may have vulnerabilities, we've expanded the vulnerability management domain in Defender for Cloud to support threat and vulnerability management as an additional provider. So now we support both external partners as well as Microsoft solution. And it allows you to view vulnerabilities in software inside Defender for Cloud. In order to, and we've got requests for customers to simplify the onboarding to vulnerability management. So you don't have, so there was a recommendation, and you could do a quick fix for servers, but the environments are dynamic, and we wanted to allow customers to automatically select a vulnerability assessment provider for new servers. Mm-hmm. So we've added another feature, also announced at Ignite, that's generally available, which allows automatic onboarding for vulnerability assessment. So from day one, it supports threat and vulnerability management. And it basically completes a whole scenario that allows you to automatically onboard your servers to vulnerability assessment.
Awesome.
There are two advantages here. There's no additional agent needed, and the results are practically near real time.
Well, before
Yeah.
you expand on that, let's just dig in a little bit on the TVM aspect, because you just mentioned one very important point, which is there is no need for an additional agent. And we heard a lot from customers that that's a very important capability. So if for customers that are already using our Qualys integration and they decide to move to TVM, there is any official migration between leaving Qualys and then moving to TVM?
Yeah, so you're right, Yuri. So managing agents is a pain, and whenever there's an option to consolidate and use less amount of agents, then that's welcome, and that's exactly what we bring here. You could use MD agent in order to receive TVM vulnerabilities without an installation of an additional agent. So for existing customers, if you're using Qualys, for example, at this point, the switch is quite simple. It's just enabling automatic onboarding and choosing TVM as the new provider. That would pretty quickly provide you the new results coming from TVM. And at your own time, you could just uninstall the old extension and be natively on TVM.
Okay, yeah, and this is another important thing. I noticed that on the auto provisioning, we also improved the auto provisioning to include TVM. That's great.
Yep, that's correct.
Now, I still on TVM. Is there any insights from the TVM that are only visible from the MD portal, or do we get everything that you see on the MD portal into the Defender for Cloud portal?
So that's a very good question. So there are two portals, right? That's the reality at this point, and we want to make the customer's experience as seamless as we can. So at this point, we brought into Defender for Cloud the most major scenarios like software inventory and vulnerabilities. And threat insights around those vulnerabilities. It's something we'll see in the demo. But in case someone wants to have a look on the original portal, on the Defender for Endpoint portal, and seek for additional data or correlate it with incidents or alerts, that can be easily done. We've added easy jump links between the products, so we'll see that. So whenever you're seeing something in Defender for Cloud, you could jump into the parallel context and experience in Defender for Endpoint.
As you said, it's just like a sci-fi movie. You're moving from one portal to another. Right?
Jumping between portals, yeah.
Okay, so one advantage of Defender for Servers is the built-in threat detection, and we have that. We had that for a long time for Windows and Linux, and this was there regardless of the MD integration that came later on. Now, with the MD integration for Linux, do we have more threat detections that are used?
Oh yeah, completely. So actually, it's a lot more than just threat detection. So in Defender for Cloud, we had alerts for suspicious activities and some common threats. But with the introduction of Defender for Endpoint for Linux, it's actually a whole suite of a product, right? So similarly to Defender for Endpoint for Windows, this is a next-gen antivirus. It's an EDR product with additional EPP controls. This is automatically provisioned to new workloads in the cloud, whether it be Azure, AWS, or on-prem, or GCP, whatever, and it provides the full suite for endpoint protection.
Yeah, I love the fact. I love the fact that you emphasize that is way beyond just threat detection. So, good point on that.
Yeah, correct.
Now, one of the biggest announcements at Ignite was our new multi-cloud native connector with AWS. And so how Defender for Servers hook into this scenario and provide a better onboarding experience for servers that are located in AWS?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, as we spoke also in in major announcements and in other sessions, there have been big improvements around everything that relates to multi-cloud. And talking about servers specifically, we actually touched what hurt most to our customers and improved and streamlined the onboarding process for servers. And I'll give a few examples. We're using native tools in AWS like CloudFormation and using System Manager agent, SSM agent, in order to push Azure Arc agent into EC2 instances. That's number one. In addition, we've dramatically narrowed down the privilege that's required in order to achieve that. So we've applied the least privilege approach to how we access AWS accounts. So just the bare minimum in order to provision and provide CSPM and CWP capabilities. And another cool tweak that we've added, we're doing credential validation. So while you create a connector, we're giving you like a green light that says this is going to work. Like we've checked that, so to avoid problems and issues down the road. So we've made small but impactful changes with how you onboard EC2 instances into Defender for Cloud.
That's great. I like the check because it also avoids you to have to later on troubleshoot something that should be checked in the beginning of the process. So that's great.
Yeah.
Since we are talking about multi-cloud, it really fits into the whole hybrid solution framework. And Defender for Servers is well known to protect on-premises servers as well. Now, with TVM, right, with the TVM, do we also have to onboard Azure Arc and the LA agent prior to deploy MDE on on-premise machines with TVM?
So it's a good question. So basically, for machines outside Azure, whether they are on another cloud or on-premise, Azure Arc is the recommended way to onboard machines. And Azure Arc will, in sequence, will install Defender for Endpoint, which would unlock the TVM experience. So you could do that without Log Analytics Agent. Log Analytics Agent provides a whole set of other capabilities and CSPM recommendations. But if you're just looking at TVM, then Azure Arc and MDE would be suffice for hybrid servers.
Okay, great clarification. Thanks for that. But now let's take a look on the demo, because I know you have a pretty cool demo to share. So let's go through this demo.
Yeah, let's see that everything I promised really exists and works. So we mentioned software inventory, right? That's the first scenario. So if you're familiar with the Defender for Cloud inventory experience, then we added a small thing but it's actually a pretty big feature. So we've added new filters here. We've added install applications filter, and it basically goes through all of your servers, and it shows you what are the software that's installed on it. So we could just scroll through the list, see what we have, and if we want to hone in on one of them, that's for example Vim, then we can choose it and filter just on the servers that have that specific software. This is, by the way, is enabled through the second new release, which is MDE for Linux, right? This is what allows us to bring TVM. So those are two scenarios in action.
So that's a good point, Aviv, because if you don't have MD deployed with TVM, you're saying that this software inventory is not going to be available, right? It's probably going to be empty.
Yeah, it's going to be empty for machines that don't have Defender for Endpoint installed.
Okay.
So no additional agent needed. It just relies on Defender for Endpoint. By the way, there's no onboarding for this one. Once you have MD installed and integrated with Defender for Cloud, you're going to see data here. So like 0 clicks on that part. Another filter we added is the installed application versions. So if I chose a specific software, it will show you what versions are installed. Let's add it again. Okay, cool. And I can see for that specific software what versions I have, and I can filter through that as well. That's number one. We also added the ability to just list all the software for a specific server. So clicking on it, we have a new tab, Installed Applications. It shows us the full list of software that threat and vulnerability management detected on this server. And as promised, if you want to jump between portals, then you can just click that link that we've put in several places in Defender for Cloud. So it will take you right to the parallel experience in Defender for Cloud portal, and it takes me to the same server, showing me the list of software, and then I could take it from there and jump to other insights.
Great.
One last thing to mention here, that it's also available in Azure Resource Graph, which is cool because you could take software data and correlate it with other insights. So you could ask what servers have this specific software on this specific version, and also an unhealthy status on this recommendation. So you could just craft your own queries and slice and dice the data the way that you want. So this is another cool feature. I think that summarizes software inventory. And we go next to vulnerability assessment. So this one, at this point, you have to choose to onboard to threat and vulnerability management. And we've added this new control to the environment settings auto provisioning blade. So we've added a vulnerability assessment for machines, and it's actually 2 clicks. Turn it on. You can choose threat and vulnerability management. Choose apply and save. And from this point on, all existing as well as new machines will just reflect the vulnerability findings coming from TVM without additional installations. It runs on top of Defender for Endpoint.
So is it correct? Is it correct to say that if I already have Qualys installed, then I'm gonna have vulnerability assessment done by both?
So actually what will happen is that you will pretty quickly see the findings coming from TVM provider, because once you choose a provider here, that's going to be the default provider. So you will see the results coming from TVM. The Qualys agent will still be installed on the endpoints as we do not actively remove it. You can remove it manually or automatically whenever you choose you'd like to do that, but you will see results coming from TVM.
Okay. All right.
And after we've done that, we can see the new findings coming from TVM. So it's the same blade. Machines should have vulnerability findings resolved. And now whenever you choose the new provider, then we see here TVM recommendations as well as weaknesses. So I don't know if I want to better look on OpenSSH vulnerabilities, then I can click it. You can see that it's coming from Microsoft Threat and Vulnerability Management. We can see the list of CVEs related to that recommendation and the affected servers. We also added a new blade specifically for CVE. So once you click a CVE, you can see the nature of the threat. We've added threat insights to let you know if there's any known exploits for that vulnerability, which could really help in prioritization of remediating that one. And like before, if you want to see additional insights on the M365 portal, you just click that deep link and we'll take you there.
That's great. That's very easy integration, basically. You jump from one portal to another based on that link. That's cool.
I think that covers all of these
Yeah,
scenarios. So if you'd like
I
to
love
combine
it.
them
Love
all,
it.
yeah.
Aviv, this is a big step towards this consolidation. And this scenario with Linux is something that we heard a lot about. A lot of customers, they were really looking for this. So glad to have everything coming together to fruition after so much hard work. And thanks for doing that. I know that you and the team behind the scenes were working really hard to have this announced. So thanks for that. Do you have any final consideration that you want to share? Any final recommendation or anything?
So as always, a big thank you for you and the community for being a part of providing us feedback and requests and letting us all know what's important for you. And as always, I'd invite you to just try this out, create connectors, choose the provider, let us know how it works for you. Just try it out, install the connector, try those features, and provide us feedback through the user voice. We're always happy to get that.
Great point. And the user voice link is below. I'm going to put the hyperlink here, the AK link for the user voice. If there is something that you want to see, make sure to share on the user voice, because on the user voice page, people can vote for your idea. And this helps us to prioritize to see if that idea is something that will impact a lot of customers. So thanks again, Aviv, for your time. I truly appreciate.
Thank you, Yuri.
Absolutely, my friend. Thank you. Thank you all for the audience. Again, make sure to subscribe to Microsoft Security Channel and to this playlist below, which is our playlist, so you can receive notifications of new episodes. Thanks again, and see you next time.